Welcome to the White Rabbit podcast. I'm the White Rabbit, also known as Nicola Charles. It is Sunday, the 18th of May, 2025. And I've been chatting to a lady on my X account who seemed to be struggling a little bit. Her name is Kelly. And I found out after the fact that actually she's one of our unfortunate Australian vaccine injured. And I don't see an awful lot of individual cases and chats with people who are vaccine injured. I see loads from America. But with Australia, it's quite frankly brushed under the rug. Welcome to the show, Kelly. How are you?
Hi, thanks for doing this for me because, as you just said, it's very important. There's not many Australians actually speaking out about this sort of thing. I'm not too bad, as you know, at the moment. My EBV, Epstein-Barr virus, is reactivated. I've got hepatitis B. I have no idea how this come because I had none of this before, and that's sexual contact sort of thing. And none of
Yeah.
this happens. I'm a single person, and also shingles. So I'm a bit rough at the moment, but I'm kicking on.
So I saw a video of you coming out of your front door or your back door, going down three steps
Yeah.
to go to your mobility scooter. And it was so hard to watch that video and it devastated me. Now, let's go back to the beginning. You were someone, an Australian who went and got two Pfizer shots, correct? Were you advised to do that by your doctor, Kelly?
No, at where I lived, that we had a big, massive hub. There was a big Bunnings. They ended up turning it into I think it was one of the biggest hubs in Australia. Um, we just went in there. There was no doctor talk, no nothing. It was ushered in. Um, it was quite wild, to be honest. Just very unrealistic, to be honest. Walking in there, and then there's all these setups of just computers where we just type in. Next minute, we're ushered by a nurse through a round thing, and then there's a mass lot of everyone's just getting injected everywhere, and it's like, whoa! And so we just got ushered into a little stall type thing, and got yeah
Got
vaccinated.
vaccinated. Now,
Mhm.
before you were vaccinated and vaccine injured, and we'll go into how you're injured in a minute, because one of them I've looked up and it's horrible. It's autoimmune problems.
Yeah.
Before that, you used to play rugby and you were a very active Australian, correct?
I did play rugby league for Australia, yes, my country. In the early days, not like so much in the last 10 years when I was more preppy and stuff. And then obviously work got in the way of all that. But yeah, I played for my country. I went to New Zealand and played those guys and stuff.
Wow. And how
Mm.
far apart were your Pfizer jabs in time? How many weeks or months,
A
Kelly?
month, a month, so four
A month.
weeks.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Now, so doctors have given you the runaround, of course. They've given a lot of
Mm.
people the runaround. You've been told various things. At one point, it was MS. And they've also told you it's this MOG AD, right? Which is a
Mhm.
very rare, quite severe autoimmune disease. Is that what they've settled on now?
Yes, I have. And even I've reported to TGA, and even I'm rare, even amongst that. I'm one out of 150,000 people.
So it's affected your mobility, right? Your moving around looks extremely painful. I won't ask you to
It
do it
is.
now. People can go to your page and I'll link up your page and there's a GoFundMe because you need all the help you can get. Now you're going to have to move somewhere that helps people with disabilities, right?
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, my whole independence has been taken away from this. I rely on everyone, sort of thing. I don't have a lot of help, say to say, but yeah, my life relies on now. Unfortunately, I can't do. I struggle to do them, but it's just what it is now.
So you weren't categorized in any way as having a disability before these shots.
No, I only had penicillin allergy previous to this. Never attended doctors, nothing. I was, a healthy person. And even
Yeah.
when I had the flu, I, just pushed on. It only lasted a day or two and I was right to go again.
And since you've been injured, I'm interested because some people talk about this. Has any doctor suggested you get more shots or get a flu shot or anything like that?
Unfortunately, as people know across the X platform, I'm very strong willed now after this. I was never anti vaxxer. I've never been an anti vaxxer. Unfortunately, I get this vaccine, which I don't have, never, only the childhood ones. And then I get this thing that we're being mandated to work. and my whole life has fallen apart. So, of course, you're going to see hesitancy from someone that has experienced a very catastrophic injury, so to say. So, I'm not anti-vax, but yeah, if they know, even when I went to the hospital, because I try to avoid the hospital, I just fight this. I know my body can repair itself. It's going to be a strong feat, but it will do it. I have faith in myself, and it's I don't deny the fact that I'm probably going to be like this, but without the right mentality, you'll go backwards. You go backwards.
Hope.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
you have hope.
pretty much what it is. I rely on. So even going into the hospital, they tried to do the COVID mess. Stick the shit up your nose and sorry, I swore.
It's okay.
Stick
You're allowed.
stick the PCR test and
Mm.
all this, and I'm like, no, you're not, because the one I had previous the injury, it literally it felt like it touched my brain. They shoved it in that far, so I was like, no, that's not going to happen again, because I've never reacted. I'm very pain tolerant, but yeah, that hurt. So I said, no. They tried to trick me by four, the doctor and then three nurses to do this, and I said, the only thing I am going to do is if you give that thing to me and I do it myself. It ended up trying to trick Bruce, trying to fool me.
That's okay.
Sorry, there's racket. Tried to
Same in
fool.
my house.
They tried to fool me by coming in and manipulating or whatever with the words. But I'm very strong. I've still got my brain, even though I have cognitive issues. I'm still who I was. So yeah, I ended up getting that, and I do this now. So, and I've told my GP, I said, you even approach me with any words of jabbing any sort of vaccine in me, you know what I'm going to do.
Have you had any compensation from the Australian government for what you've been through?
No, unfortunately, there was no, advice or any of this through this. I only really learnt there was a little, that scheme is saying there, the last week before it closed down.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
I understand. But even with this, and it's not about the money. Our lives is being taken away now. I pretty much sit how you see me now all day. This is me, and I socialize with my people on X that I know. So the payouts that they were getting is, it's really a slap in the face, to be honest. So I know I'm a fighter, and I will continue to fight for this until it is recognized and acknowledged, and the justice is coming to the people, because this has been on a mass scale. As you know, you've spoken to the overseas people. This isn't something that should be just swept under the carpet. It doesn't matter that COVID's over or that little pandemic. It continues to go on. They're
Mm.
still injecting the children. There's still, our older generation is still fooled by this, thinking they're doing the benefit for themselves. Even when I go into doctors now, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it actually, I wear this when I go to the doctors. It says, "Oh, you shouldn't jab." Full like,
You're frozen a bit for a second, Kelly. I'm sure it will come
or
back.
like, change.
There you
Sorry,
go. You're all good now.
yeah. I did, I go into the doctors and there's all these COVID signs now. So I just point at the signs and point at myself. And the older generation are even waking up to this, but there's still a lot of food and they're still getting these poisons. And unfortunately, they're losing years that they still have in them. So, that's what I'm about, is just keeping a loud voice, so to say.
So I'm assuming as your injections were only 4 weeks apart, when you got your first Pfizer injection, you were obviously okay for 4 weeks, right? You didn't go and get the second one thinking, "Oh, I'm injured." So tell me the timeline after you had the second one. What was that like?
Well, I can tell you the timeline, because I haven't said it yet, but I was a chef working 40 to 45 hours a week, split shift work. So it's a big thing on your body, and most chefs will know this. So, you get little ailments through, a sort of a sore back, or, whatever sort of thing, shoulder hurts or something like this. When I got the first jab, I had sort of, and I put them in air brackets because they say symptoms of the vaccine. So I did have migraine for that 4 weeks.
Oh,
I did, yeah, I still have this migraine. I have it now while we're talking. It doesn't stop, to be
mm,
honest. We'll get into that when we talk about the things I've actually got. And I was just having back pain, so I thought maybe sciatica or some fact whatever. And then the second one, oh my god, within a week, went paralyzed then for a minute. My right side, because my right side's mostly affected. My left side has effects, but not like my right side's pretty much. I just call it my dead side. Um, After that, yeah, the second one, it was in the first week. I was starting to get some tremors and stuff. You'll see now I sort of shake and they come on, like my legs will go like this, like they don't stop doing the repetitive flipping thing. You see it even when I'm going down those stairs, how my
yeah.
leg, you know. So yeah, after the first week, I started to get everything, the tremors, uh, cognitive, like this really affects me, this cognitive stuff, the migraines, the stiffening of my body. If the only way I can explain it is like that Celine Dion,
Yeah.
straight whatever that was. This is what I get this in my body where I literally, my whole body flips backwards and I'm stuck in a sort of painful straight locked up position sort of thing.
Good God.
So all these things just started to happen. I have to go through the list, but a lot of people know I do have a lot of ailments, so to say, or issues going on. So it's hard unless I go through them all. But sometimes I just sort of ignore all of it because it's just too much to keep thinking about and stuff.
Mm.
It wears you down. Um, you've got the fatigue and all these other things going on. So yeah, it was pretty much within that first week, things were just starting to come on and they just got worse. And then I wasn't getting even acknowledgement from my doctor. I was like, what the hell is going on with my body? Um, so I went to the doctor because I'm like, I don't go to the doctors, but I'm like, I think it was about even that it was about a month or two because I'm a very stubborn person. I've always, if I've been a bit crook, I've fought through it because that's what our body does. It repairs itself and goes on. But yeah, and I went to the doctor and I'm like, all these things, and like the list I have, I'll photo it and show you. um
Tell us some of them, Kelly, because it's really important.
what unpacked. Well, I've got the tremors. I've got numbness through the whole body. My every bone in my body literally is in pain, aches, like has pains going on. Pretty much from my knees down is circulation in my body. It doesn't run properly anymore. I have the tremors. I have the spasticity through my body, plus that Celine Dion stretch. I don't even know. They won't name it. They gaslight me so much. So I've been lucky to have a lot of the vaccine community around me that have helped me through this to get where I am. Because I think if I just went by the doctors, I'd be bedridden, literally bedridden. But I have the spasticity. I had drop foot. I've got about, I think it's about 7 lesions in my head and 5 in my spine, 1 at the top of the neck, sort of thing. I've got 1 cyst in me kidney, 1 in the liver. I've got now cysts all through my breast.
Oh God.
Um, that's it on the lesions and the cysts sort of thing. But my body had none of this. As I was a footballer, I've had MRIs. I've had these things just through life from, knock on the head or whatever sort of thing, go check it sort of thing to make sure. And yeah, no, not through my life have I had any of these things. And then overnight, I've got mass lesions, cysts all through my body. I've got dysphagia. It's dysphagia. I think I get confused because there's another one that sounds very similar, but it's dysphagia where you get the sort of choking. That's even on my first neuro report that I choked on a hot dog at Costco because when I was eating, that was coming on and I was trying to eat it, and the next minute I was just choking sort of thing. It's lucky I just knew to flip myself over. But yeah, I just too many have came on at the moment because I'm sort of having this interview. My head's in a bit of anxiety sort of pressure sort of thing. So I am a
I
bit
understand. I just want
cognitive.
to read to the listeners one of the things they've told you you've got, which is this MOG AD. Never heard of it in my life.
Yeah.
It's called myelin oligodendrocyte glycoprotein antibody disease, a rare autoimmune disorder that affects the central nervous system. And that made sense to me when I saw the
Yeah.
video of you trying to get down the stairs to your mobility scooter. Have they at least put you on the NDIS, Kelly?
Yes, that's where they've sort of lumped me and left me. But as we know, the NDIS has many issues still,
Yeah.
um, unfortunately. So it's
It's
what it is.
amazing how they expanded that department around this time, like they knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, as people say, every Tom, Dick, and Harry's sort of on it now. But I even know it's got things that need fixed, but at the same time, we can't wipe this totally off because there's people like myself that highly sort of are dependent on these support workers because there's a whole story with my family, which I won't get into little bits, but I won't get into detail on it. But my mother's side, we don't really sort of talk so much anymore because at the beginning it was sort of like I was putting it on or something. I don't get where the logic is in that because I've worked all my life. I've played sport. I've always, I've never been a lays about or whatever sort of thing. So I don't know where that
Terrible.
mentality is. And then, where you have the other people that they accept it completely that you're vaccinated, but they just don't understand all the trauma your body's going through. So they have sort of expectations as you were before. They don't understand all the sort of things that we're dealing with now. Like I'm constantly in pain, and I will admit my temper does drop like bang, like because it's all the pain. As I said, my body is constantly in pain 24/7. It never has a time to relax. Even while I'm sleeping, I'm in pain. Like I just because I lay still, I can't lay on my stomach anything anymore. I have to lay on my back. I have to lay upright because what I can't do it anymore. That's another one. I've got a whole lot of bowel and bladder issues also. I think this should be mentioned because a lot of people rip this off. There's a lot of flutter and people deny with the fertility process. I was 43 when I was injured. Okay, I wasn't showing any signs of going through menopause. My ladies was going, all on time. I was actually pretty much on point. I could pick it to the day and how many days even and everything.
Yeah.
When this came, they stopped for about 3 months, then came back for 6 months, then they came back for another couple of months, then stopped again, and then that went on for about a year.
That
And I
yeah,
was,
that's how entering menopause works, the stop start. So it kicked you into menopause.
yeah, and then obviously what follows the next year, they've just disappeared.
Yeah.
So obviously we know what happens. It is hitting the fertility and that issues and the pregnancies and all these sort of things like that. So I did want to mention that, which I forgot, but things will come to my mind while we have the interview where I might just sort of jump in or whatever while we're talking. But yeah, I do think this needs to be mentioned because, as I said, people are still getting jabbed. They're jabbing the kids. So can we imagine what they're doing to their reproductive system at such a young age?
Mm. I think because of all the myocarditis and pericarditis that mostly affects boys,
Yeah.
my co-host on the radio show read out the
Oh,
other week, one in
see, I'm
six.
sorry, I'm having one now. Freaking hell. It's because I'm sitting too still.
It's
This
okay,
is
Kelly.
what my body does. It's like my legs are straight out now. It's just they do. This is what we deal with. And we still get gaslight to this day where,
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
No. Are you all right?
Yeah. I'm fine. I deal with this all the time. So it's something I don't like getting used to, but it's something we just have to end up getting used to.
So what's that like? A mini seizure?
I think they are like mini seizures. It does. Like even now, like there's certain things like temperature. I can't regulate the temperature anymore.
Oh my
So
God.
little temperature changes can just set off all this stiffening and these spasticity things, and then these little interactions I had then. It's just what it is, unfortunately.
So 43 is young. I'm 55.
I'm
So you're
47. I'm 47 now.
47 now, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So when this happened to you at 43 and you're a working age, and I guess you still are a working age, that ended it
Mm.
for you. You can't work anymore, right? You're
Oh, I
just on
can't
the
know.
no.
No, I managed to because I've played for I'm a bit roughhead. I've chef, I've worked with boys, so I've got a strong personality. So I was just fine, and as long as I can, I'm like ignoring these issues. I'm like, it's all right. I'll wake up tomorrow. It'll be fine. It'll be gone. That ended up having where I was breaking down. As I said, I was working 45 hours a week. It ended up going to 25 hours a week. Then it ended up going to 15 hours a week until one day I slid down the wall because what set me off was I was before able to do like 100 patrons in within an hour or something like this. I ended up being in a cafe after I started knocking down where I couldn't do it more. Um, and I had three dockets up on our roll thing.
Yeah.
I read them, and they were simple things like egg and bacon rolls, very
Yeah.
simple, not mind fucking shit. Oh, I've done it again, sorry. So I've read three dockets, which were, bacon and egg rolls, something others, basic things. I'm looking at the docket, then I'm going to, and the oven wasn't far where I'm reading this, it's pretty much that turn. And by the time I've turned my head, I've forgotten what I'm doing. I'm like, what am I doing? And I've done that about 10 times. Plus, I was dealing with all this pain of the body. And I was just like, something's wrong here. And I just slid down the wall. The whole cafe heard it. And I was just crying. And the bosses at the time sort of understood what was going on. They didn't rip it off and everything. And I just slid down the wall crying. The whole cafe heard my last day of work. But yeah, it was a shit day because I realized that was the change of my who I was and who I used to be, sort of thing.
Who do you blame for all this, Kelly?
Who do I blame?
Do you want to blame anyone?
Well, I'm not the person to want to blame people for things, but in saying that, there has to be acknowledgement for this. I am going to end up, it has to be the government because they're wanting us to pick our employees, um, bosses. I'll just say that because I'm forgetting the word right now. Employer. They want us to blame them for the mandates.
Yeah.
Who mandated them to mandate us?
And the
The government.
doctors, they're saying it's the doctors now too. And the doctors did have accountability and responsibility,
They,
but they were
well, they
told.
That's where I'm going to. They held accountability. Even now, and I won't say my GP's name. My GP agrees with me wholeheartedly. What a mess this was. What the fuckery of everything going on. But will he put his name to paper to admit this? They've
No.
still got fear why he sees me. It's still gas. I still get gaslit. I need to do my own research with my friends on here to give him things to get me tested on.
Mm,
It shouldn't be like the patient telling the doctor what they've got to do to keep us alive, sort of thing. Because without my determination, we're seeing the decline in the vaccine injured this at this point. Without my determination and my stubbornness, I would be in the same situation of going more backwards as I am. I'm starting to fail the last few months. My legs are getting worse. These things getting worse where I'm losing energy. These stiffening is all coming back again. It's like we're living in a vicious circle. It's a roller coaster. We wake up one day for a glimpse and it's like, oh, okay. But then in the next 5 minutes, bang, it's all there again, or things like this. I, I, I know there's been a lot of grifting, and I'm pretty real, and I hope you just let this. I won't go wild, but there's a lot of grifting. There's been a lot of people through this thing that came out in 2019 that aren't taking it serious. It was all about the content and all of this stuff. And now they're just like that we're even on the back burn with them. Like, I really appreciate you for reaching out to me, because I've been trying to reach out to people like Topher Field and things like this that have got a huge following that were so-called really loud about this, but now we don't even get acknowledgement from them. It's all in the past. It's a new narrative. This will never be the new narrative, and this is not just a small percentage. They've done this wrong. They've been injuring people for quite a long time. It started at the AIDS thing in the
Yes.
80s. Yes, yes. So they've been doing this for quite a long time, but because I won't get in there, because, we get those trolls that go, oh, we're cookers, about, the above the government sort of thing, where I'm going. But all these rules and things that's happening is coming all from them. And they're, whether they're depopulating or not, I have my opinions on that. And people that know me along X and, whatever, know my opinions. But this is not good if we let this continue. We need to make a stand. Unfortunately, they screwed up by releasing this pandemic, and now there's mass awakening amongst the countries wide.
Yeah.
No one's stupid anymore. You've got your little people that want to pretend it's not going on, but it's going
Yeah.
on. It's mind-boggling. I never
I like
want.
that you're outspoken like me, Kelly. So to draw people to your outspokenness, which is so brave and feisty after what they've done to you, your X account in capitals is at emus back again, right?
Yes, yes, because my other first account was reported and suspended.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm on my
yeah,
fourth
yeah.
one. What would you say to Anthony Albanese if you had a nice, calm, relaxed,
Conversation.
60 minutes chat with Anthony Albanese?
Yeah.
What if someone gave you 5 minutes, Kelly? What would you say to him?
Well, 5 minutes, I'd like to tell him about the vaccine, and I would keep calm about it, but I would be telling him about it's some of the information that it's not what you're trying to hide it is and stuff. But if I had an hour with him, people, as I said, across X would know what I'd be saying. What's happening in the world right now is not something a lot of people should just be standing there and accepting. And, the ones that go against sort of the people that are outspoken, they shouldn't be getting attacked, because, you know, everyone does their sort of research or whatever, or looking at the mainstream media, or waking up and just looking at the independent media. Everyone's got their own opinion, but on the big scale, if you actually look in the UN agenda, you will see all this mess adds up. I don't know how blind you can be to not seeing what's in front of everyone's face worldwide, Australia right now. And we're trying to save our own country here, and we've got people that go at us. Like, I'm fighting a vaccine injury, and I'm got to deal with everything else that's going on in the world as well, the economics, all this. I'm gay, but even this transgender movement thing of like transitioning children, and like, oh, don't even get me started. You probably want to have me on another time, and we can, get a bit woo-woo, because it's so, it makes me angry, but
Mm.
I'm just keep calm, because I don't see my anger in an aggressive way is going to help the situation at all. I'm
No.
evidence. I'm evidence. So my voice, it's loud. It can be heard, because I'm speaking from the truth, from experience, from what's happened, from who I used to be to who I am now. Did you think I wanted to go on any of the deep dives on the medical world? Hell no. I used to think I'd go into a doctor half dying and come out fit as fiddle. Now, being vaccinated, and I should be going to the hospitals and things, I have got PTSD. I am in not fear, but I just don't know if I'm going to come out. because of
Yeah.
some of these things they do. And that's
Mm.
not just to me. I've got a no immune system. So I'm a bit high Richter scale. My body isn't as strong to fight some of the drugs and stuff. I'll get into that in a second. So, what I've learned is like, it just, yeah, it just makes me think what nefarious intent was there at the beginning of all of this. And I'm not saying the medical system was always nefarious, but you've got the Fauci and the Gates there being all bosom buddies through somewhere, and they've
It's a bit
joined up.
worrying. I think, Kelly, I think the trolls should walk a mile in your shoes. I think they should
Oh,
watch your
100%.
videos of what you have to face every day and walk a mile in your shoes. I think it's absolutely despicable. So, have they got you on a litany of drugs now to save you from the drugs?
Okay, well, this is a start. As I said, the first year was a bit of a hit and miss. My doctor was gaslighting me for the year. They were giving me pills. I was getting pills probably for the first 2 years, trying different pills like spasticity to try and stop this stiffening, because this really hurts. This hurts when I get into that. Like, my body gets locked up so much. So I was trying all these pills to do this. Every pill I took made me worse. Even one, and I'll mention it because no one should be taking this drug, Lyrica. Okay. I even got advised that this is okay. There's no real side effects to anything or anything. So I'm okay. I'll trust you. You're the doctor. I try it, and I've never had self harm thoughts in my life. I've never wanted to kill myself in my life. But the pain that I was suffering from this bowel was getting too intense that literally a thought came over my head, just stab yourself in the stomach and it'll release this, because I get very bloated. And I thought, it was a not rational thought. It was just quick, gave over my head. If I just stab myself in the gut, it would like let out the air or something. That was stupid. It never happened. Didn't do it. But having that Lyrica obviously gives you self harm sort of side effects or something.
So you
And I
stopped taking it and those kind of thoughts
yes,
stopped. Is
yes.
that what you're saying?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
good God.
totally straight away. But then I went to the doctor. I'm like, why did I just have this pill and I do this? Got gaslit. He's like, no, that's never happened. No one's ever thought this. Anyway, years down the track when I'm seeing these neurologists, unfortunately, I got one of these new ones that are in there, and I'm like, and he's like, what pills have you taken? And I went through the list because this went on for a while of just trying different drugs and stopping them because it just made me feel worse or sicker. Anyway, I mentioned this, and I said he's asking for whatever reasoning why I've stopped all these drugs, because they actually think I deny the system.
Hmm.
I know, it's crazy.
Who
Um,
wouldn't?
but anyway, I've told him about the Lyrica and the self-harm, that stabbing, and he goes, oh yeah, that's a side effect, self-harm. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, it's noted here. He even showed me on something that is noted on there, that self-harming. Well, I've got this other doctor gaslighting me when I've just had a thought that I'm going to stab myself in the stomach. So this is where I
God,
say
Kelly.
the system's broken. The system is literally so broken now. People are not getting help. They're getting pills to just hide their actual what's going on. You need to eat healthy. You need to get back to into all that, be fit, you know,
Mm.
stop all these, cardboard box pro- processes that we
Process.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, because you used to be a chef, so you're in a unique position. I think food has always been medicine, and they know that food is medicine. So,
100%.
right after they've injured everyone, they're telling people that they can't have meats or that,
No.
I mean, it's extraordinary.
Eggs,
This is
eggs,
exactly what people
eggs,
need. Eggs, exactly. Yeah.
eggs. So we get the bird flu and kill all the friggin' chickens. So there's no bloody. It's just, yeah, I don't see how trolls can't see the dots. The,
Yeah.
it all adds up if you put it in the big picture, but
Well, when a person goes into a burn unit in the UK, let's say they've been in a house fire or they're a fireman fighting a house fire, when they've got third degree burns, the worst burns you can have, on
mm,
their chart in UK hospitals, it says a minimum of 12 eggs a day because
yes,
eggs are so healing.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. It's a C word
extraordinary.
that's in it, but that's where I need my friend. they normally help me with the words. I just know the C.
I
It's
find you
good.
so inspiring, Kelly. I really
Thank
do.
you.
And you're a fighter. That
Yeah.
video of you coming out the door, down the steps, and into your mobility scooter, I thought, you know what? This is someone I need to talk to. What would you, because you've got such a big gamut of adverse reactions. They tell us you're rare. I don't believe it for a second that it's rare.
No, yeah.
What would you say to other people, whether they're experiencing one thing or 10 things? What can you say to other vaccine injured people to, I don't know, help them cope emotionally with what's been done to them?
You've got to move forward. I see now, unfortunately, it's a process where you have to grieve your past self. If you don't grieve who you were, you'll take aggression into this new you sort of thing. That's unfortunately, and it's lucky I've been through life where I've just said, okay, I'm starting a new chapter. Just say I've had a breakup or something. Okay, new chapter starting now. This is something where I had to learn, I had to speak to people because I was not dealing very well with my just I was getting a bit just flippant. Like I was just rah, like for nothing sort of thing. Because I'm like, I was frustrated that my life was falling apart. I had no idea why. And then I've got to accept everyone else's thoughts and opinions, and no one's accepting what my thoughts and opinions are. And I'm expressing and I'm feeling it. I've got it's me. It's about me. I'm not about everyone else. And sorry, I've lost tracks. That's where I said to you earlier that I just might lose course. Um, but yeah, oh no, I lost that one. Sorry, darling.
That's okay, Kelly. Listen, you're an amazing, amazing lady, let me tell you.
Thank
And
you.
I feel like we have been placed inside some kind of war for whatever reason.
Yeah,
You could talk about the reasons all day long. And we are all casualties of that war, whether we took this or didn't take it. If you didn't take it, they demolished you financially.
yeah,
And if you did take it, they demolished you physically. And
yes,
even people that
yes.
feel fine that I know that've had it are in constant
That's
fear.
what we we're saying. Sorry, you've tricked
Yeah,
you.
no, carry on.
Well, about that, how you're saying what to say to people, I'd be just
Yes.
saying, grieve that person that you were, because unfortunately that's not you anymore. If you've got a lot of issues, if you've got a major injury or something, that past you isn't who you are anymore. So you've got to grieve that, and you've got to think positive. Look at the good things. There are good things in the future if you make it. When you're feeling all down and out, everything, your body takes that on. So you're not going to fight it. Your body isn't going to want to work with you. So I just say get back into the healthy foods if you're not. Try to cut out that bad crap. And my friends always say sugar, 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 because that's one thing I need to stop eating is the sugar, because the sugar attacks the bad cells.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just say that you've just got to try, and I know it's hard, and you go, I'm still fighting this in my own thing. Reach out to people you trust. You are going to get a lot of kickback, but if you're willing to fight for yourself, your body, and your life, you would just do it. You would do it. And if doctors are gaslighting you or not, don't take no for an answer. Be like, unfortunately, me do, and go, no, I'm going to go research then. If he's going to gaslight it this week, I'm going to go look up the real information
Yep.
and then take it to the doctor next week and go, look what I said. This relates to this. How
Yeah.
can you deny that now? And
Yeah.
that's when my doctor's getting more and more on my side. So hopefully I can convince him to come out with me and say, yes, she's vaccine injured.
Well,
Because
this
it's
is what I wanted to talk about, Kelly.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think Australians are well overdue for a reconciliation on
Mm,
vaccine adverse reactions.
mhm.
We need a reconciliation, not in 100 years when everyone's gone, now while people are suffering. And part of that reconciliation is acknowledgement. If you don't acknowledge something, you can't fix it, you can't move forward. Wouldn't it be amazing if when people met you in your life, in the street, shopping, whatever you were doing, that you could feel free enough when they said, are you okay? Do you need help or what's wrong? That you could feel free enough to say, I'm COVID vaxxed injured without people looking at you like you were some conspiracy theorist making it up. Wouldn't that be amazing, Kelly?
Oh, definitely, definitely. That it has to be. And as we're just talking about this thing now, um, it has to get acknowledged because unfortunately, the world's not going to move on. The world is trusting the medical system less and less every single day. The
Yep.
more the people that are vaccinated and all the people, the doctors that have came out and the other ones that are giving out the real information, because there's a lot of fake information even from the doctors out here on
Very much
social
so.
medias
Yeah.
and stuff. So you really, you got to really look into this stuff. And otherwise, the medical system's not going to make the money it wants to make if they don't acknowledge this. I'm never going to shut up. I don't think you're ever going to shut up. There's so many others that are never going to shut up. We're never going to shut up,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And that's the bad thing about it. They've put us in this situation where we see what is happening. I live with what is happening. How am I supposed to shut up about this until, as you just said, that was perfect? We can't move on from what is stuck in time. I feel literally I'm stuck in a time warp that just keeps going around and
Yeah.
around and around and around. And I'm ready to get off this fucking roller coaster. I am so ready. And as I said, and this is not no threat or nothing, but come end of the year, if nothing's acknowledged or fallen down from the America, um, I'm getting allowed. I will be out there and the trolls will have a reason. Oh, look, she's crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm standing up for myself. I'm standing up for many thousands out there that can't or don't.
Mm.
How many
Yeah.
non-verbal people are out there because of vaccine injuries and they can't even, and I just get mind altered from that because I'm like, I'm lucky I can express the pain and the frustration where these people are non-verbal or whatever now. It's like,
And
what?
that's why the non-vaccine injured people, particularly like myself and others in the media, have to show this to people because we talk
Yeah,
about it. I've talked about it a
yeah,
lot. But the
yeah,
reason I wanted people to meet you is that you need to look at it. You need to know that those people in the street that look disabled, they might not have been born disabled. They might not have been in a car accident.
yeah.
Ask them, speak to them, talk to them. You know what? Just before we go, I wanted to mention something. Anthony Albanese said in his acceptance speech, after one third of the country apparently voted for him, so two-thirds of
I
the
know,
country
right?
didn't vote.
I know, right?
He said that he is the prime minister of everyone. And I'd like Anthony Albanese to acknowledge, Kelly, that he's also your prime minister. And I'd like him to take the time to sit down with you for 15 or 20 minutes and everyone else who did exactly what he asked them to do. And that's roll up their sleeve. Kelly,
Yeah.
thanks so much for jumping on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
No,
I'm going to
thank you.
put your X account and your GoFundMe underneath this interview. And I would ask the viewers of the White Rabbit podcast to please support Kelly. She is on the NDIS, but her life has been crushed. She's a former chef. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been the White Rabbit podcast. I'm the White Rabbit. I'll see you next time.